So they've come to give us a little briefing on what's going on in the world of Santa Clarita. So I thought we would just kind of go off the agenda for a little bit, invite our two sheriff buddies up here to tell us what they had to say.
So my name is Deputy Sanchez, Ben Sanchez. This is my partner, Rudy Hernandez. We're part of the crime prevention unit at Santa Clarita Station. We're assigned to different zones in the city. Unfortunately, due to staffing constraints with some issues from the previous years, we've been down a lot. So we've pretty much been covering the whole city. Deputy Hernandez is responsible for Canyon Country. I'm responsible for Saugus and Valencia. I've been the team lead for the past year or so. Deputy Hernandez is coming in. He's going to be taking over team lead for me. I'm on my way out. We help citizens with quality of life issues, things that regular patrol doesn't have the time and the resources to work with you guys on a regular basis, and also businesses in the area as well with preventing crime, looking for ways to maybe harden their store against crime and different things like that. We have 2 more members coming on next month potentially. Deputy Hernandez will be moving from Canyon Country to another area. However, the 2 deputies that will be taking over Canyon Country are good guys. I believe Deputy Antonio Navarro was here previously. He just left our unit to go to a different job at our station, so he's doing great things over there. Any questions or anything you guys have for us, we'd love to help you out. Deputy Hernandez might have a couple things for you guys too.
Yeah, sure. Just introduce myself, Deputy Hernandez. Yeah, so I'll be helping you guys out for the next month, for the rest of this month. We'll be moving on, but doesn't mean I'm not available. And like I said, we'll be taking over the team lead spot. So yeah, we're just, trying to do things that help for the ongoing issues. If you see a crime being committed or something suspicious, obviously call 911 or call the station. If that doesn't change, don't call us because we might be at home or something. So still call 911, still call the station. And then what happens is if those things become ongoing things or things that are occurring more often than you'd like, or you're seeing the same thing happen over and over again, you can send us an email so we can look into it, because we have a little bit more time and freedom than the regular patrol guys that come out, go to your call, and then they get another call that's emergent across the city, and they got to take off, So we were really into the, like my partner said, the quality of life stuff and those ongoing issues, and we try to come up with solutions for those. So hopefully we can be of assistance. I have some business cards I can leave. But again, call 911 first. Don't call me. But yeah, we're always willing to help and see what we can do to help out. Okay. And then once the 2 new guys come that are going to be handling Canyon Country, are these monthly meetings for the most part?
Yeah.
Monthly? Okay. Yeah, so they'll be at the next one, so you guys can get to know them as well. Okay. All right. Do you guys have any questions?
Do you have your card?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll leave some cards.
He's not moving on. He's going to another area.
I'm working still with crime prevention, but I'm going to be in a different city, like a zone for the city.
One of the things we like to do though on our team is we help each other out as much as we can, so that if he gets hurt or he takes a day off or he just doesn't want to come in for a day or something, somebody else can step up and help out. So one of the things that sucks is that we got defunded last year during a defund police movement, and it shut down our staffing pretty well. So we're technically supposed to be like an 8-person team, and we're down to 2 people.
That's what I wanted to ask you. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but how can we help you guys? Yeah. I know that sometimes, obviously we're going to get your part, but we want to help support you guys and support each other. I think that unity is something that we need to be stronger on. We're better in numbers, so I know a lot of people, obviously not all of us showed up or could show up, but we are definitely willing to, especially starting locally here in Santa Clarita, and maybe, it could spread out, but what happened is extremely sad, and we are for you guys.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, thank you for that. One of the things that's happened these last couple of years is people in all walks of life on both sides of the table have woken up to the fact that they need to be more involved in communities, which is a good thing, because that's what makes America America, is everyone getting involved. The best thing you guys can do is continue doing what you're doing. You guys are here at a city council, at a Canyon Country Council meeting, being involved, making your voices heard, dealing with topics and discussions that are important. that's what we need to do. Continue doing that. Be involved in politics, city level, the county level, the state level. That's the best thing you guys can do. It's going to take a while for things to get back to a safer place, but people are already putting pressure on our politicians to change things. And if you watch the news, you see people's stances on things publicly are changing right now. And a lot of discussions being had for the rise of crime in LA County, in California, in our nation, amongst numerous cities. Unfortunately, the people that we're responsible for their care and protection are being victimized like crazy. And it sucks because we hate to see you guys have to go through that. That's not what we like to see. Obviously, we signed up to keep you guys safe. So just get your voices heard. Be more involved. Continue being involved. You guys are doing a great job. Don't stop. That's the best thing you guys can do for us. He does all the work. I just
Try to
say
stay
no.
safe. I think we worry about you.
Yeah.
Because
Go ahead.
Good evening, thanks for coming by.
Sure.
If you haven't seen our station at its best, 5 o'clock this evening, I watched the tape on PBC 7.
Oh, yeah. Did you see his head? We were there right before we got here. That's why we were a little late.
Armed suspects, and out of nowhere, on the news conference, you guys got to take it down. Be alert of your surroundings. Question updates, what's the crime of the month, what's happening, like, what do we need to look out for? Where are you guys seeing?
I think a lot of the people out are coming from out of the city to try to look for easy targets. So you could just not be an easy target. The biggest thing that I see that could be prevented, like the most easy thing you can do is don't keep anything in your car in plain view and lock your doors. Because a lot of these people, even if you know, some of the transient populations, you know, seems to be on the rise, if it is or it isn't. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but a lot of those guys are just looking for easy targets. They're walking around, you see the people checking door handles. I don't know if you've seen it on Ring cameras and whatever, but that's probably the big thing. There's some things that are a little prevalent right now, like catalytic converter thefts. Those are a little harder to prevent, right? So if you have a garage, obviously park in the garage. Try to have lights up, floodlights. If you have good cameras, try to have high quality cameras because then we can get good information on any vehicles that might be in your neighborhood, like getting license plates and things like that to give us extra work to go off of. But yeah, basically just keep your doors locked on your vehicles and don't leave purses and iPhones and stuff in plain view, because that's when people start smashing windows to get into your car too, okay?
My partner said garages is the best thing. I mean, if you think about it, only in America do we put a bunch of our junk in a garage and we leave our like $1,000 items on the street. But if you can get your cars in your garages, that's the best way to keep the catalytic converter thefts from happening.
Can you refer a good clutter complete service, please? Can we call 911 for that?
Yes, sir.
So mental illness is difficult. When you, and you know, I feel for you guys to be out there, when especially trying to judge if someone is mentally incapacitated. How hard is it on you guys emotionally to deal with people who you know might have mental illness?
I think it's more, as far as emotions, it's probably frustrating just because a lot of people who are mentally ill aren't able to really communicate. They don't have a lot of rational thought. You know, so when I'm trying to talk to them like I'd be talking to you, tell you something, hey, this is what should happen, and you say, yes, that makes sense to me, I'll do that. They don't have that capability sometimes, depending, and then a lot of times drugs is a factor where now you got a combination of maybe a little mental illness with the drug addiction, and now their brain's fried, and you know they can't make the decisions that they need to make. So that part's tough. We do get a lot of training, and they're increasing that a lot, just to kind of help us out with dealing with it, because obviously it's not like a gang member out on the street. You know, it's not the same thing. It's a totally different situation. So we try to keep our training up to date, and there's always new things coming out and different ways we can approach the problems. One thing that you guys should be aware of as citizens, like you might have a neighbor or something, or someone on your block who's a nuisance, who's a problem. So you call us out, and then you feel like we're not doing anything. Not the case. Sometimes we can't kick the door down and go pull them out and just take them somewhere, right? And we also have to keep in mind our safety, the safety of whoever's in the house and the safety of the person who maybe has that mental illness. So if we go in there just to talk to him and he attacks us, and then we have to defend ourselves, all that stuff could be prevented if we just wouldn't go in his house. Okay, so it looks like we're not doing anything, we're staying outside, but really these measures are in place so we don't go in and do something that we don't have to do necessarily. And then we call people, other resources that we have available to us, who can come later, who are more equipped to deal with that situation. So if you see that kind of stuff, try not to be frustrated either. We're working on it, and there's going to be some other plans and avenues we could take. So try to keep everybody safe, but it is frustrating.
The hardest part is the way the mental health system in our nation works. It's not good because you have us that people call when they're in crisis with their family member or someone in the community, and we're a tool that's not designed for that job. I mean, we're in law enforcement. The situation being experienced is probably more closely related to a medical emergency than it is a crime. However, the unpredictable nature of them pushes it into criminal aspects sometimes. And so they call us out to deal with it. The nature of the beast is that unfortunately a lot of these incidents end up turning violent just because of the way it goes sometimes. We do what we can. A lot of times it involves taking them to a mental facility that is built to assist them through the time, and the person gets treated or whatever means they use, and then released back to their family. And then the crisis starts spinning up again. And then it spins up to a point where we get called out again. And it's just these families that have these people as part of their family are getting put through the ringer. And that's probably the hardest part, because these families have a system that is failing them and their loved ones, because it can't cope with them, and there's just too many. And so they get put through the ringer with everything. And that's probably the hardest part for us to see, is just these families going through all that stuff all the time, just continually. If that answers your question.
Don't want to put you on the spot. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to answer this one. I was actually trying to get hold of Deputy Navarro. I see a lot of bullying, intimidation. This is in our HOA, be it security guards, HOA staff, managers, residents. When does the line cross? When do you cross legally? And again, this may not, may be a much deeper topic. People by physical appearance intimidating residents or security officers, that type of thing. When does it actually become kind of like a terroristic threat, or when does it become 415 or disturbance? And again, take your best shot.
Yeah, there's different levels that it can rise to. Obviously, the one you mentioned, the criminal threats, that is a felony, but if you read the penal code on that, it's very specific and it's really long, right? And you have to meet all the elements of that crime. Most of the time people think they're threatened because they feel threatened, but it's not quite meeting that criteria, right? You have other types of other types of crimes, though, that may be on the lower level, like you mentioned, the 415, which is a disturbance type call. And for those ones, it's like challenging to a fight. So if someone's like, let's go right now, one of the things has to be in a public place, though, right? So you have to, like, challenging to a fight, the act of actually fighting, even offensive words. We have tools at our disposal. It's going to depend on the nature, or how we're going to go to those situations and try to mediate best we could. I think so. Like, as opposed to, like, say it's your neighbor, and this and that. If I go and just take someone to jail, it might make your situation worse as that neighbor. So we try to mediate if we can and come to a peaceful solution where you guys can coexist, because he's going to get out of jail in a day, because it's maybe a misdemeanor crime, and he's going to be right back there. Now you're going to hate each other more. So we try to do what we can to bring it down a little level and see if we can coexist. If a crime hasn't been committed, though, you got to know if it's not in our presence and it's not a felony, then it's going to be incumbent upon you to press charges and place that person on arrest. And then I'm just acting as a person that say, I'm going to take them into my custody and book them, but you're making basically a citizen's arrest on this person for violating that law. But yeah, so those are a couple of things we can go with. What's under 422 aside from disturbance?
So I didn't quite fully understand your question. Were you asking in relation to security guards and HOA members intimidating residents, or residents amongst themselves?
Could be existing residents.
either interfering with a staff member,
Mhm,
either
okay.
in physical appearance, verbal.
Okay, so residents interfering with
Yeah,
HOA members or
Other
Well,
residents.
definitely that. I've seen-
yeah.
Unfortunately, it's part of our community now, and I think it's probably going to be more of a civil, and these guys are counselors.
Yes.
Every now and then, you're dispute resolvers. I wonder, when does that line cross? When does it, you know, if I physically hear somebody intimidating me or
Yeah.
following you or what the line is.
Yeah, no, I would. It's not as simple as it sounds. It takes some time to be learned on different penal codes and how they apply to different situations. I would encourage you, if you want, can email us. Hey, what are these penal codes or the penal codes that we use for this? And then we can provide you with the penal codes for that situation, and you can read them. Even then, it's a garbage group sometimes.
Every situation is different, obviously, and different ones that appear similar. One will meet the elements of the crime, and one won't. And there's also things I tell people because they feel just because I feel threatened or I'm afraid of this person, that's enough for a crime. But it's not the case. You know, there has to be specific threats, things of that nature. But it doesn't mean that that person who's acting that way, obviously, that's not normal, right? That's not proper conduct, amongst average law-abiding citizens, right? So there's probably something else going on with that person. You never know. Those are the things that we could look into, as far as that person, criminal history, things like that, and what they're all about. Maybe they're involved in some other things, and they use intimidation in that form or fashion. So like if there's ongoing problems with neighbors and things like that, those are things that can be brought to our attention. We can kind of look into it and see how we can help out. But the HOAs are going to be probably a big help as far as you making those complaints to them, so it's documented on that end too. And if there's, I don't know all the legalities of that and getting people kicked out or however that works, but because obviously if we arrest them, like I said, they're going to get released eventually, and then they're going to come back, and now you have a new set of problems, right? So we try to avoid those type of things as best we can if it's possible, I'll give you guys my card. You guys can email me if you want.
Thank you.
We're good? Okay. Thank you, guys.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
We support you guys 100%, just so you know, and we're still trying to figure out where this luncheon thing is, where we can come bring you donuts, whatever, or those Donnies, whatever. When you mentioned earlier about, situations with a neighbor or something, and you don't know what's going to happen, I don't know if you guys were around quite a few years ago, but my best friend was killed by his neighbor. And I'm not sure if at that point if he was going back and forth with you guys. I know there was a sheriff lived across the street, but this guy was a little bit nuts though, and somebody went and spoke with him, and then my friend went around the corner to ask him a question, and he blew him up with a shotgun. Now, with that being said, should we be afraid if our neighbors are doing this too? I mean, what do we do if our neighbor decides to go off on us?
I understand. So that's a legit concern with everything going on. I think somewhere, this is just me, this is Benjamin Sanchez speaking, not Deputy Sanchez in some manner. I think somewhere along the line, America lost what made America America. And the community that was around, even when I was a kid, I mean, when I was growing up in my neighborhood, I could tell you which kid was at which house, and what days they could play, and what times they could play, and what they had for dinner on certain days. And it was like I knew that. That's how it was. When the lights came on, I got to go home. My parents let me go out and do that. That was growing up. And at some point, we've kind of lost that. And now, I mean, that's a legitimate fear. You went through something with your friend. That's a tragic incident. And unfortunately, the nature of humanity is that happens. That's part of humans. While it is good to be prudent, I'm a very optimistic person, and I like people. That's why I'm in this job. I like helping people. I like protecting people. I get to do that on a daily basis, and the Sheriff's Department gives me the freedom to do that as best I can. With that being said, evil still exists in the world. That's why we have a job. And being able to defend yourself is something that is as old as mankind itself. And we have to be prepared for that. So it's natural to be afraid of some people, especially if you don't know them or they're not acting normal. Just be aware of who's in your neighborhood, get to know you, and obviously get to know your neighbors. If you have something you have some hair standing up on the back of your neck about, then pay attention to that. That's a natural human instinct of survival, and it's good. Pay attention to that. But if we all close each other off from each other, I think that's really bad. I think that hurts us more in the long run. So the long answer is, yes, be mindful, because we're all mortal, and we're confronted with mortality on a daily basis. But at the same note, we're all humans, and we need to be humans to each other. And so make sure we're not just blocking ourselves off. That's my personal opinion on it. I don't know if you have anything different.
I'd say, yeah, I agree with that. Just one thing I tell people a lot is don't escalate the situation on your own, right? So if there's somebody there, has some issues, be polite and all that stuff. But if you have a problem with them and you go start getting in an argument with him or her, that's going to make things worse, obviously, right? And if there's something you feel you can't handle on your own, that's what we're here for. We can come and try to help out as best we can. But that's going to kind of be your call. But I always say don't aggravate the situation if you can avoid it.
Well, thank you, gentlemen.